Hi all, welcome to another video. Thanks very much for joining me. Today we're going to be looking at how to create this responsive footer. Now as you can see, we've got three main sections: about, social links and contact information, and under there we've got a sub area where we put the copyright and a menu. It's all nicely laid out, so if we do this sort of thing, then you can see it's nicely separated out, but we've put a breakpoint in. If you keep an eye on this figure up here, once we get to 1100 pixels wide, it will then change and load the media query CSS and do this. Now the eagle-eyed viewers out there will have noticed that the about is slimmed down, the social links slimmed down, and contact information is slimmed down, and that's, well, it's on a mobile phone, so we don't want to be really. It's usual to have slimmed down information on a mobile phone, even though that's the one that's going to be used the most, but everybody knows what these icons are. But I think this looks a little better. Obviously the address and stuff is over here, which you can get off the main website should you need it, and things like this testimony over here, that will be removed as well on the mobile version. So just before we do get started, I am going to go to my code and uncomment the borders so we can see what's what. Now if I inspect, you'll see that this has a class of footer section, as does this one and this one. So all of them are accessible via that one class, and then they have their own unique classes: footer about, footer socials, footer contact. Ignore this border because that won't be on your version or the one we're about to do. And inside you'll see there's a H4, and in there's a container for whatever is underneath the title, and that's the same pattern for the rest of them as well. So we've got a social container, we've also got a contact container, so then we can space things out nicely, separate the titles from the main content however we wish. So that being said, let's get on with it. I'll leave the borders on, so it may be handy to know. Where are you going? Let's get that to about there. Move over there, and I'm just going to have these screens overlapping. So I have an index HTML and a styles CSS, the usual thing, and I'm going to close that. So in the HTML, exclamation tab, title, I'm going to say responsive footer. Let's get all the things linked up that we need to start with. So down here, link, tab, styles.css, save. Over in the styles, I have done some default styling already. The usual thing: remove margin and padding on everything. For the body, I've given a default font. I said 100 viewport height, so you can actually see something, and I've given a background which I've got from CSS linear gradient engine. And then for the links, I've given them a default color, removed the underline, and hover state. That is it. So if we go over to here, let's close that and we open it with live server, you can see this is what we have at the moment. So let's move this over here. But in case you're wondering how I got this to be in this mode, the easiest way to do it is to go to Control-Shift-M, and there you have it. You could also go to Browser Tools, where is it? Responsive Design Mode, and as you can see, Control-Shift-M. Anywho, as we can see, we need to first create this whole footer area and bung it down the bottom. So close that, let's go into the index. Actually no, let's, because you can see we've got icons here, we may as well link them up first. We're going to be using font awesome, so I've gone to the CDN, cdnjs.com, found the font awesome link, which is this here. Copy, and we'll put that above the style sheet, put it there, save. Now we can get on with it. And to actually get the icons, I've gone to fontawesome.com and search the icons in here, but we'll do that in a minute. So first thing we need obviously to do is stick a footer tag in where everything is going to go, and as you can see by the example, it's split into a main footer area and a sub footer area, or bar at the bottom if you want to say that. So I'm going to give this a min height, if I can spell it, of well, let's say 200. In fact, let's go to the right file. Let's note it up. Footer tag, and say footer, and then say height 200 pixels, and I'm going to say min height because I don't want it staying at that. I want the content to dictate the height of it, but because we need to see what we're doing, we need to see it, we need to give it a min height so that something shows. Save that. Nothing will show because we haven't given it a colour or anything. So what we need to do is that background colour. I'm going to say this weird colour I found, 7. Well, it's not a weird colour, it's just a weird hash. And there you can see it at the top. Okay, it doesn't belong at the top, so position absolute. I'll say bottom 0 and width 100%. Save. What I'm going to do here is give it a font size as well. So let's say font size. Oh dear me. Font size and say 0.8 rem, and then we'll give it a default colour of CCC. So obviously you won't see any of that take effect yet because we haven't got any content in there, but as you can see over here we have H4. In fact, let's go and put them in before we start styling them, because that would be a better plan, wouldn't it? So I suppose the main thing we want to do is create the div with the class of main footer, and that's exactly what it says it is. That's going to be the main footer area, and then down here we're going to add the sub footer area. So oops, so let's do sub footer area, which is the bar at the bottom with the copyright and the menu. Let's give that a class of sub footer area. Okay, so we've got our sections all set up ready to go. Let me just make sure that that is correct. Sub footer area, yeah. Obviously I've got CSS already as an example, so so the first thing we're going to do is put in the about section. So all of the, make sure we're back in the main footer area, you don't want to put it in the sub footer area. All of these sections, as I said before, I think I said before, these where they've got the red borders, these all have the where are you? There we go, footer section class. So they've all got something in common and they've all got their own unique class as well, so they can be referenced either way. So we want to add that. So footer section and its own class of footer about. There we go. And in there we want to put the H4, so we can put our title of about, and we want to separate that out from everything else, so we're going to put a container of about in here. So the about container will contain everything else that we have in this section. So let's put a p tag in. I'm just going to copy the stuff of put in here. You don't want me to bore you with that. There's the p tag, and under here we also have a testimony, so I'm going to give that a class of testimony, and inside there I am going to put a Q tag for quotes. I'm also going to italicize it with I, and I'm also going to put small. You can guess what that does. And then I'm going to put in the testimony. So let me just copy that from off screen, put it in between there, and just go over to the example. You can see that it's in quotes, it's italicized, and it's a smaller font than this one. So let's go back here, but also we want to put in Bob, who left us this lovely comment, theoretically, or hypothetically, should I say. So we want that inside the p tags, which I haven't created yet. P, and let's just give it a class of assigned like that, and let's put in Bob. Save. There you go. Let's have a look. There he is. Okay. So that is about it for the about section. So we can fold that away. Note it. About. And down here we want to do social media for the next one. We also want to give that next container a footer section and footer socials. There we go. And again H4. We're going to put in here. What did I put in there? Social links. Makes sense. Social links. And again we want a container for this, so we're going to call this a social container, and then we can put everything inside here. So these are going to be A tags because they're links. Just going to put a hash in there because we're not actually linking them, because it's demo. I'm going to make some space, and here is where we want to go and get the icons. So let's go over here and let's search Facebook, and we want to stick with a square theme, so grab that, click to copy in here, paste, and underneath there I'm going to put a p tag for the add us to on Facebook. Save. Let's go over here, and there you go. As you can see, they've already got the hover state going because we did that earlier, and they're linked together, so whichever you hover over, because they're all inside the A tag. So basically you want to do that again, so copy, we want to do that another 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is going to be follow us on Twitter. This one's going to be follow us on Instagram. This one, follow us on Reddit, and this one is link with us on LinkedIn. Save, and they'll all have the same icon look, but they're all there. So now we can just go and grab the icons. So the first one we want is Twitter. There we go, grab that, and then we can just replace this. Save, Instagram. Now I'm going to just pause here so you don't have to watch me do this because It's boring to do, to be fair, let alone watch, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, thanks for the patience. I've been through and added all the icons, so if we go over here you can see that they're all there. If you can see that tiny thing down there. Right, what's next? That is pretty much it for the socials, so let's fold that away and let's quickly move on to the contact area. And in here the same thing, we want to do footer section, and we also want footer contact. As you can probably imagine, we need a H4. What do we put in here? Contact information. Again, makes sense. Contact information. There we go. And we want a container, don't we? So contact container. So everything goes in here. Right, we're going to put P tags in here. I know it's got icons in, as you can see over here it's got a little house, but they're not links, so let's just stick with the P tags. I'm going to go down one. I need to go back to the icons again. Let's find house, grab that one, put it in here, and then under there we can put in a P tag. In fact, no, we're already in a P tag, aren't we? Let's put NTW Geeksville. Save. Let's go back. Oh dear, my browser's gone to sleep. There we go. If we scroll down, you can see that NTW Geeksville is there. Why is that scrolling? Oh, right, okay. Let's pull this up a bit. There we go. So it's down the bottom there, but it's got an icon of Reddit. Because I did the same thing again. Let's copy, paste, save. There you go. Right, next. We want an address line. So I'm going to do address line 1. I'm going to come back to that in a minute because I'm going to use a, well, you'll see, address line 2, and then we want an P tag, and in here we want an A tag. This is because we have a telephone number, so we're going to use tel one something like that. Let's grab this, copy, paste, and there we go. We do need to put in an icon here, so let's go back, let's find the icon, let's look for phone. This one will do. Copy, paste, save. Let's go back to the footer and you'll see that they're linked together. Good. We need to do the same again for the email address. So A tag, and in here we want a mail to. So the telephone link is useful when you run a mobile phone because you just press it and it'll open your dialer. The mail to is useful on basically anything with an email client because you'll tap it and it'll open your email client, fill out the to form for you, and with whatever we put in here, someone at somewhere .not. Let's grab that, copy, let's go down here, paste. We need the icon, so let's go for envelope, this one, copy, paste, save, back, there it is. Okay, now you probably spotted that the address is don't quite line up with the text above. There are many different ways to do this. I mean, you can use before and after pseudo elements to put in these icons, but I really don't want to. So what I'm going to do up here in these p tags, I'm going to add a class of no icon. Some people are probably screaming at me now saying, "You idiot, this isn't how you do it," but this is how I'm doing it. So there we go, and that will become apparent later how I'm going to address that. So it does look a little bit messy, doesn't it? Let's move that up. This. Yeah, a little bit better. Let's stick it all on one line. I just wanted to make it easy to read for you so you could understand what I was doing rather than bunging it all on one line like this, but let's do this one. Let's pull this out. You can see, yeah, makes more sense, doesn't it? So there you go, that looks a bit better. So we've got the footer contact section. Now we can fold that away. I believe we've got everything we needed in there. So let's concentrate on the sub footer area. So what did we have in here? Well, all we had really was the sub footer copyright, like so. And to put that little symbol in, all you have to do is do an ampersand copy and end it with a semicolon, and we put that in there. So now if we go back, over to here, you can see it's there. And then the menu. So that had a class of sub footer links. And in here we can do links times, how many was there? 5. There we go. And if we put this here, press Control on my system, which is Linux, and press Enter. There we go. We could do the same here, just put, because this is dummy links, we'll just put hash in there. And in here we'll put home, about, services, portfolio, and contact. Save. Go over here, we can see we've got those links there. So everything's there now, we just need to style it up. So let's do that. Let's go over, we've already got the footer tag all styled up. Right, so let's start with the H4s. Let's do margin bottom, so we can move the containers beneath them away. Save. In fact, if we go back and have a look at the actual structure here, we've got footer section, we've got main footer, and then footer section. So it's probably best if we go and do those first. So let's do that. Let's say main footer area, and say main footer, say display flex. We want flex direction to be row. Justify content to be space evenly. Let's just see how that looks. Save. There you go. So we now have our three separate sections all in a row. This is left down the bottom because it's not in main footer. So let's give this some padding. 10 pixels top and bottom and 30 pixels left and right. Save. And there we go. Still not great, but we're getting there. So let's do footer section, which refers to all three of those. And again do display flex. And this time we want flex direction to be column. We want to justify content to the start. We also want to align items to the start. Save. We shouldn't change much because what we're basically doing is pushing it up to the top left corner, which it would be anyway, but they're in a column. So and then we can apply padding to each of those. So we say 10 pixels and 30 pixels. In fact, let's do that. There we go. So up here, I think I made a mistake here. This should be 30 pixels top and bottom and 0 left and right. There we go. So we've got them spaced out. So it's quite fluid, even though it looks horrible. But that's the footer section done. So H4. Let's go back to that. I'm going to do text transform uppercase, and I'm going to do some letter spacing. Just 1 pixel, just a subtle bit of spacing between letters, and I'm going to change the colour of this to an RGB, and I'm going to do 126 189 240. There we go. And I'm going to change the font size as well, so it's slightly bigger. So if you remember, we did the 0.8 rem for the default text. I'm going to make this 0.9, so it's just that little bit bigger. And there you go. You can see the titles there, squashed together a bit, but so in fact, let's go up here and then we'll do the footer section we've already done. Let's do footer about first. Footer, because I'm trying to concentrate on spacing these out and getting them right before we deal with the contents of each container. So footer about, I'm going to say max width 50%. Save. Okay, that's a bit better. I mean, it spaces it out a bit better. And then for the others, footer socials and footer contacts, well, I'm going to make the width, I shouldn't really need to put this in, but I'm going to because it describes what's going on better. But anyway, the width of the others are automatic, which it is anyway, but like I say, it's there for the developer more than anything else. Right, the containers, let's do those. About container and the social container. and also the contact container. So display flex. So we're dealing with what's inside them now, really. Flex direction should be column, and align items start, so at the top. Save. Right, so let's move this over. Okay. So now really it makes sense to do the H4s. So I'm going to move that up. I'm going to sort of bundle all this together, but not having any spacing, and then we can go down here and concentrate on each section individually. So let's do the about area. So what do we want to do? Well, because this has got some text which we need to read in it, let's make this text a little bit bigger. So let's go footer about, font size 0.9 rem. There we go. And then the footer testimony, let's concentrate on that. Footer about testimony, and let's display flex. Let's do flex direction column, justify content space evenly, and we want font style, although we've already done that, haven't we, in the HTML. Let's just save that. Oops, let's go away, you. Save, go back. Yeah, so this text is a little bit bigger so we can actually read it, and it should be spaced evenly, so we're going to give it some padding. So that space evenly really isn't doing much, is it? But anyway, padding, we'll say top 10, 20 on the right, 5 on the bottom, 10 on the left. Save. And there you go. That's just what I came up with when I was experimenting, but feel free to mess around with that. Margin top is going to be 20 pixels. Font size for this is going to be 0.8 rem, which is the default anyway, so we shouldn't really need to put that in either, but we're going to give it a different background colour of RGBA, and we're going to do white at a 0.1. Save. Over here. There you go. So we could probably take this out. Save. It's exactly the same. Take this out. It's exactly the same. Or is it actually? No, it isn't, is it? Because we applied 0.9. Yeah, that's the reason it's there. Knew there was a reason. Right, okay. Let's do the signed bit where it says Bob. Right, let's go footer about dot signed. We want to do a display block for this one, and text align right, and let's push it down from the top by 10 pixels. Save. There you go. So that looks alright. So I think we can move on now to the socials area. socials area. And in here we could go to, well, there's not much to do in here to be fair. Oops. Go to footer socials, anchor tags, display flex, align items, center, padding 4 pixels top and bottom, and 0 left and right. There we go. So they're all in a line, but obviously these little icons are pathetically small and very close to the text. So let's move on to those. Footer socials, AI, big subject at the minute. What do we want to do? Let's do padding right, so we move the text away. That's going to be 10. Okay, and then we want to make the font size, because they are fonts after all, 1.1 rem. There we go, that's better. Okay, that's the social bit done. Now we need to go over to the contact area. There's not much here either really. Footer, contact, the p tags, because if we have a look in the HTML, where are we? Footer contacts. These are all made up of p tags, so each one of these is a p tag if you remember. So that's what we're looking at there. We want to do pretty much the same with padding. We want 4 pixels top and bottom and 0 left to right, and we don't need that symbol there, so that's already looking better. So we've got the same padding as this, so it all lines up nicely. So let's concentrate on the icons now. So footer contacts PI, because the I tags are inside the P tags. We want font size to be 1.1 rem, the same as the socials, like that. In fact, let's be consistent and put the padding on the right. 10 pixels, like so. To be fair, we could have put these together, but as you can see, I'm dividing them into sections, so that's fine. You shouldn't repeat yourself, but yeah, we'll get away with that one. Right, the no icon, if you remember, in here I put a class of no icon next to address line 1 and 2, and that is so I can create some space and line this text up with the other ones that have little icons next to them. So we need to go to footer contact no icon, and all I'm going to do there is say padding left, oops, .30 pixels. Like I said, there's lots of ways to do this. What have I done wrong there? No icon class. No icon class. Save. Hard refresh. Okay. But that is it for that section. So we now need to go to the bottom bar. So it's basically the bottom footer. No, it's sub footer area. So we can work on this down here. So this bit's pretty much done. So that all looks okay. Okay, no. So there's not much to do here. We've got the sub footer area class, which is the bar itself. I'm going to do display of flex, and then flex direction of row. So then they should be next to each other. Yeah. Because these here, they've got their own class. So we've got copyright, subfooter links. Those are the things that are in a row. Let's just go back. What we're doing now, we need to align items center. So that's vertical. But probably don't need that, so we're going to apply padding to it, which would make the spacing anyway. So let's do justify content, and here we're going to do space between, save, and as you can see it's took the whole width and put the whatever space there is on that line between the two elements. So let's add some padding to that, and let's do 20 top and bottom, oops, and 30 left and right. There we go. And I'm also going to change the background colour so we can see it. I'm going to use hash 213E5F, and there you go. Now the actual links here are a bit close together, so we need to space them out. So sub footer area. In fact, we called them links, didn't we? Yeah. And there are 8 tags inside. So the subfooter links was the container there, and the links are inside. So that's what we're referring to. And we're going to do display inline just to make sure they stay in line. Although it's got, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Padding 0 top and bottom, 10 left and right. So it adds a space between them like so. And I'm also going to change the colour. And I'm going to change this to what we've got, 4B7 CB4, like so. So that they're there subtly, but there's no hover over effect. So we need to address that. So we say sub footer links a hover, and we'll say color cyan. There we go. Alright then. So that has styled it up. If you only want desktop version, you're finished, but obviously if we get down to 1100 like that, it's about there. We think, okay, it looks okay, but any more than that, it's going to start looking a bit crowded if we do this. So it starts to double up on lines. So that's how I derive to 1100. It's just trial and error. I mean, you could do 1000, but whatever. So let's do the media queries, which is going to apply responsiveness to it. Media queries. So we're going to use @media, and then we're going to say everything that follows in here is going to be applied by default to this page unless, until we reach a max width of 1100 pixels, and at which point this gets ignored and this will take over. So this will override everything within here. So the first thing I think we want to look at is the footer itself. and this will apply to the footer about as well. And in here we can change the font size to 1 rem, which is a little bit bigger. So if you can see here we're on 1088. If we go a bit bigger, and we're up past 1100, so it says max width 1100. If you're more than 1100, then don't do this. So it then falls back to what's we've already written up here. So as you can see, the text has changed slightly. You can probably see it better on these links over here. Okay, so that's the premise of what we're doing. So the H4s, what we're going to do with them, we're going to change the font size of those as well, and we're going to keep them at the same size. And again, we'll do this. There we go. Yep, it still looks a bit crowded, but we'll get to that. So the main footer, as in this area up here, let's look at that. Main footer. Flex direction is what we want to change, because we don't want it in a row anymore. We want it in a column, so they stack on top of each other. So save that, and just by doing that you get this. Now let's pull this down so we can see it. Obviously that's not ideal because it's all bunged over there, but that is why we're going to carry on with the styling. So let's align items center like so. Again, everything's now in the center, but aligned to the left. If well, the contents are aligned to the left, so we need to address that in a minute. Justify content to the center, and we'll text align to the center, so we're centering everything. Save. Okay, so you can see the text here is aligned to the center, and here yeah. So let's go on to let's get each section in turn. In fact, let's do footer section and a footer about. So footer section, footer about. I want it to apply to both of these. I want to say max width of 80%. Okay, and I'm going to say width. I'm going to just set it at 80%. And then I'm going to do a margin bottom of 30 pixels, just to separate the about out, if that makes sense. And I'm going to align items to the center. There we go. So now what we got, so all the titles are in the center. This is centered, this is not yet centered, this is we're going to sort this out anyway, but let's just concentrate on the first one, the about, and let's look at the testimony, because that seems to be a bit messed up at the minute. So let's say about and say footer about testimony. And we'll say display none, because if you remember when I showed you this example here, let's grab this, when we get down to the breakpoints, then I took the testimony off. Could leave it and sort it out, but I think it'd just be too crowded, so I've took it off. Right, moving down to social links. Let's go back over here. Right, now I want to actually target the P tags in here, which are these, the bits of text, and only that. So to do that, I'm going to say social container and then child A, child P, and only that P. So we're being specific on which P tag we are targeting. And I don't want to display them either, so I'm going to put display none. And they're gone. There you go. And after that I want to target those icons which are, if you remember, I tags. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing. Social container A I. What I'm going to do here is change the font size, and I'm going to change that to 2.2 rem to make them nice and big, and there we go. And obviously, in fact, up here at the top I'm going to do a social container, and I'm going to say flex direction rows. We've already got flex applied to it. There we go. So now they're in a row. And that's that for the socials. So let's go down to the contact info. Contact. There we are. So you don't have to change absolutely everything, just what makes sense. So let's do the contact container, and let's align items to the center. So now all of those are in the center, as you can see, but I'm getting rid of some, aren't I? So let's do contact container. Oh dear, that went very wrong, very quick. Let's do that again. Contact container, and I want only the child P tags and only the child I tags of that, and I'm going to say display none. So those are gone, but I don't want this either. These are address lines, so I'm going to add this on. So they're gone now as well. And to get rid of this, we need to grab the first P element. So let's go to contact container and say P first child. Could just add its own class, but why bother? Display none, and that's gone as well. The final thing we need to sort out is this down here. Now you could leave it like that if you want, but as soon as you get to, gets a bit messy there, starts doing that sort of thing. Anyway, so the final thing you may be pleasantly surprised to hear is sub footer area, and we're going to say sub footer area flex direction column, like that, and then use the flex box gap property to give a gap of 10 pixels like that. There you go. I want to give that a min width. Let's see. So we get down to about there. So let's say 480. Let's give the subfooter area. Yeah, let's give it a min width 480 pixels so we don't get any of that. Yeah, we will get scroll bars, but it I mean, you could go on and say, let's have a look, grab this, copy, go down to here and say where it reaches 480, we'll make this we'll say font, actually we'll say I want to target just that, so oops, subfooter links dot sub footer links display none, none. So go here and we get to there. It makes sense just to have none, and then we can remove this min width so we get no scroll bars, and there we go. So I appreciate that was a long video and I am extremely sorry, but I don't believe in just banging through it and not explaining what I'm doing, and at the end of this, what's that, took us an hour-ish. You've got a fully functioning, responsive, styled up footer, and it's in the right place. So I hope you learned something, enjoyed it even, and hopefully if you have, then you'll leave a like for me, because it really does matter. And subscribe if you can, please, and leave comments by all means. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.